A while back I did a video where I showed you how to take your GoPro or any action cam footage and make it look like as if it was shot on Alexa Mini. But there was a very crucial piece that was missing because we focused a lot more on the texture and cinematic aspects that makes the footage what it ended up being. Video link is going to be in the description. You guys should check it out after you finish watching this video. This video, we're actually going to the root cause, the genuine problem, because anytime when I hear this, I don't think anybody's making excuses, but anytime I hear someone says, bro, I don't have access to RE Alexa or I don't have access to Red, this is why my footage doesn't look as good. I'll tell you right now, about 60% of the projects that I work on where I do get paid top dollar projects are shot with Canon 1DX, Sony A7X Mark II. And what I want to show you in this video is that one major thing that you might not be getting right, and that is absolutely destroying your footage. So the way I structured this video is we're gonna start off with what most do, then we're gonna see what pros do, and we're gonna end it with some blind spots and what to look for, and then my honest take. If you wanna download the companion guide, link is gonna be in the description. Definitely do that because it's like a cheat sheet and it's great. It comes in handy. If you don't remember something from the video, you can just go through that one-page document and bam, like you will be on your way. So let's jump right in. For those that don't know me, my name is Qazi. I've worked with brands like Adidas, Amazon Prime, Universal Studios, and I make no just straightforward color grading tutorials so you can work with your dream clients. With color grading, there's always going to be so many different ways to go about doing the same thing. And that's where sometimes it gets tricky. And that's what we're exploring here. I'm going to show you 3 different ways to go about achieving the same goal, but in 3 very different ways. And there is one definitive winner. Okay. So the first way to convert your image from log to Rec 709 is go under LUTs, go under Sony. And these are already available to you, and we can just go select the S-Log3 version and we can apply it. Now, as soon as we do that, wow. I mean, look at this. Came to life. And obviously it's gonna matter if it's shot well. This is part of the music video that I worked on, so they did a good job. Yes, it was shot on Sony A7S Mark II, not RE Alexa, but at the same time, the DP did a good job, and this is what we ended up with, okay? So far, so good. So let's go ahead and save this version. And now I'm going to reset this and show you a second technique, which is by using our color space transform. For our input, we want to give it camera information. So we set as S-Log3. So let's go ahead and select that appropriate settings right here. And then let's convert it for Rec 709. Okay, so we're going to do Rec 709 Gamma 2.4 and then voila, right? So this is our second way to go about it. So this is our LUT way, and then this is our color transform way. And you can obviously see the difference between the two. And just like what comes to my mind when I'm first looking at it, the LUT version is just a little punchier, a little desaturated, and we can see it a little stretched. If you look at my waveform, it just feels a bit stretched. And then there's a lot more color volume right here in our color space transform version versus the LUT version. So just off the top of my head, by looking at what I'm seeing here, I prefer color space transform than the LUT version. So that is one aspect to it, okay? And now finally, we're going to show the pro version. So let's save this version, reset it. And this time I'm gonna create what I call a working color space sandwich. Okay, so we're still going to select Sony's information, right? S-Log3. So let's go ahead and select that. But here we're going to do DaVinci Wide Gamut instead of Rec 709 because all the changes that we want to make to our footage, we want to have it in the biggest bucket possible. When you're going to Rec 709, you're basically saying, hey, I'm ignoring everything my camera had to give. If it had 12 stops or 15 stops of dynamic range, you're basically saying, I don't care, la, 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 la. Let's take that information and let's choke it to only 6 stops of dynamic range. And then that's what you're working with. You're working with, basically you're working in what's called a display referred color space. You're not working in a scene referred color space, which is like this big, vast, crazy amount of volume that you have in terms of your luminance and your chroma, and you're choking yourself. And This is 100% of the issue that you will face, and it basically makes any camera perform absolutely garbage, especially when you're tweaking your image inside Resolve or any tool. So this avoids that. This is keeping us in scene referred color space. And now if I can just hold Option and drag and drop this and swap it and then select Rec 709. So we're still going for the same result. You see, between these two, this, we just did everything in one place, right? Like in one node. And then we're going to go and make changes. Whereas here, we said no. We want to have that buffer. We want to work in this super wide bucket of color, volume, and luminance and everything, right? All the goodies. And then we, on the tail end, we want to turn it into something that is display friendly, right? So we can actually see it on our screen and see it like this and not like this. Okay. So what I want to do is this. I want to go here. I want to create a node and let's make a few tweaks. So let's go to our good version because this is going to be our base. And let's just say I want to make some changes on our HDR palette, like very granular changes. So let's park it somewhere where we have a background too. So let's go here. Okay. And let's just say we go in our shadows and I start moving it around, right? So I go, let's make it a little bit cooler, a little bit magenta. That's kind of cool. And then I say, let's go under our light. And what do we want to do? We want to kind of like ease off and keep running with that magenta theme, right? Because this looks kind of dirty and then this starts to look pretty clean. And this is the result that we're getting, right? Like we're making very small changes, right? 0.22, 0.22, 0.02, 0.01, 0.01 right here, right? So let's just say this looks good. So I go copy this, and then I come here to our LUT version, and I say, let's paste the same thing. What is this? What just happened? And what happened here in our vector scope? And what is happening in our waveform? Let's try to do the same thing here and paste it. This is very interesting, right? So like, look at that. This is our LUT version. And that's the result that we're getting. Let's kind of punch in and see what is happening before and after. Like, why? Makes no sense. We go to our CST version with the Rec 709 conversion, and then we're applying it. And this is the result that we're getting. Then when we go to our Pro version with the proper DaVinci Wide Gamut sandwich, that is the result that we're getting. And you see how everything is protected. Now, one of the issues with footage like this is that if you're new to color grading or if you're a filmmaker, not a colorist, if you're handed this footage, it's very hard to know where can I go from here? Because the second you start touching things, you can easily break stuff. And that's where this high-end tool, RapidGrade, comes in. Because here what you can do is you can go through our library of looks developed by me with my 16 years of experience. And a lot of these looks came straight from projects that I worked on for Adidas or Kanye or Drake or Universal Studios. You can just go under packs, pick a look. So let's just say we go under film and we just say creamy cinema. That sounds pretty good. I mean, I created the look and my brain explodes when I drop something like this on because it pretty much works on any footage anywhere. Everything that's happening under the hood is protecting your image 100% and keeping it future-proof. Because look at this, it's working in DaVinci Wide Gamut. You want to work in ASUS? Go ahead, do that. You want to work in RE color space? Go ahead and do that. And the best part, 100% customizable. You can just go in there, make as many changes as you want. It looks too dark. I want to pull up the dynamic range. We can just click right here and say, give me one stop. We literally pulled up information that did not exist. And it's just that simple. It comes with a 7-day money-back guarantee, so you got absolutely nothing to lose. Best of all, our YouTube fam gets a special offer for a limited time. As soon as you click the link, it activates and it goes away just like that. So you don't want to miss it. Link is in the description. Check it out. Let's get back to the video. Now, to really see it and actually visualize what is really happening, let's go to this shot and try to do the same exact thing, okay? So the first version can just be the LUT version, right? And then let's save that. The second version, we can just even make it easier and go here and pick this up and just paste it right here. And then the third version is going to be DaVinci Wide Gamut, right? And then we're just going to dupe it, reverse it, Rec 709 Gamma 2.4. Okay. So this is going to be similar, right? Now I want to show you something that will make it very black and white to understand what is going on. So this time we're just going to go in color warper and watch something very interesting. Look at what this color warper is telling us here, right? Then when we go to this shot, look at what just happened. How it expanded so much. So let's actually go to the next node. And what this is telling us is that, bro, I am maxed out when it comes to color volume. I have barely anything left. Look at where this red is sitting. It's just saying like, dude, I'm pretty done. Like, look at where this red is sitting. And look at where this red is sitting in the CST with the Rec 709 conversion. And then look at where this red is sitting in our professional version. You understand what I'm saying? So you could be working with RE Alexa, you could be working with red, but if your pipeline is not correct, you're going to end up with this. Okay, but let's see it in practice. So now let's actually be very ruthless. So I click on individual things and I'm going to do stuff to it, right? So like I just click on this right here and let's just say I want to do something to the skin tones, kind of just like give it a little bit of punch, right? So like he's going to be more magenta. That's okay. Caucasian skin tones. He gets a lot of love. I like that. Let's go in the background, grab one of these areas and like really maximize on that teal and orange. And like we're pushing it. And you're seeing what we're doing here? Because there's so much color volume preserved, it can easily go and pick out these little spots and start expanding them, right? And then we can go in our reds and like, what do we want to do here? Actually, you know what? Let me reset it and then go back. And it's like, I want to make it a little bit redder. Like, add a little bit of orange in that red, right? And this is where we are. And it just went there and grabbed it. And you see the color separation that just got created and how clean and smooth our waveform and our vector scope is looking. Let's copy that, right? I don't even want to recreate it. I want to copy it and then paste the same operation on these and see what happens. So let's paste it here. Like nothing happened. Why? Because it's cooked. You have 6 stops of dynamic range from 15 stops of dynamic range of information going through. The color volume got cooked. Everything got cooked. And you're just working with that now. And even if you go, oh, dude, that was a lame LUT version. Let's try to apply it to much more superior CST. Let's do it. Nothing changed. It's exactly the same result because we're cooking it. We're tying it down to Rec 709. We're absolutely choking it. Here, we can even supercharge it a little bit more. We can come down here. We don't even need to have this guardrail tone mapping applied on the front end because this is just making sure that certain colors and certain things that might get nuked is just saying, hey, I'm going to try to apply DaVinci Resolve's own tone mapping to kind of protect it. We don't need to protect it here. We don't need to double protect it. We can leave that open and even get more uncompressed image because we're saying we're protecting it here. So it's okay. Leave it open right here because at this point, I want everything that I got. So you'll actually see the results of what I just did if I turn this off. Then if we come here and if we do this to that, you see the difference that it's making? See, I'm just saying, no, dude, don't artificially do anything to it. Leave it open, just uncompressed. So when I'm doing all the changes here, I just want everything to be correct on the tail end. Then give me tone mapping and try to correct it. Because if I don't apply tone mapping here, it's going to go wild. You see all this? You see what just happened here with these lights? So we do want a tone mapping here to give us that detail that was missing otherwise. So now if I come this close and look at that, right? And if we just go to other versions, look at how ugly and nasty this looks, the LUT version. And like, look at how equally bad our other version looks. It's just, there's nothing there. So you can grade all you want. You're going to end up with this result. Like, the difference is the same as working with GoPro footage, iPhone footage, or a cinema camera, Alexa footage or Red footage. And it's just such a small nuance that a lot of people just ignore and miss out on. And that's why I personally feel like this is a very important topic to cover, and hopefully it came through and you guys can actually visualize it and see it. And do not make this mistake. This will absolutely destroy your image. So before you point fingers at, the camera that you're using or the camera that you're working with, please just know, process over equipment. Just know that. Process over equipment. And once you sear that into your head and just know that moving forward, you're going to end up with this sort of results, like pristine images. It doesn't even matter what kind of camera you're working on. So I'm going to keep putting out fire like this. All I want in return is smash the like button so we can reach more filmmakers such as yourself and spread the love, and follow for more. So subscribe to the channel if you haven't already so you can be notified about my next video. Hit the bell icon. Do not forget to check out the link in the description for RapidGrade, because all of this is good, but you saw where we can go and how easy it is to get that. And in 2026, speed is everything. And why not let somebody with 16, 17 years of experience working with AAA brands to take you in the right direction? Link is in the description. Get RapidGrade. I'll see you guys in the next video. Much love. Peace, fam.